With the release of the very promising Ghostbusters Afterlife, I thought now would be the perfect time to revisit and compare this uninspired and forgotten cash grab rip-off Ghostbusters movie with the inspired original. Let the battle commence. The original Ghostbusters opens in a library where everything seems ordinary until strange things start happening and get progressively worse. We don't see what it is, but as the scene progresses, the mysterious and supernatural thing scares this innocent woman. We then cut to our first Ghostbuster, played by Bill Murray, who is immediately portrayed as a troublemaker. We are then introduced to the rest of the Ghostbusters, each with their own personality, and they go to investigate the strange sighting in the library. And then we get this iconic scene which perfectly balances horror and comedy at the same time, and from here, after much discussion, our characters decide to push forward and become the Ghostbusters.
Hey, anybody see a ghost?
And as I said, the movie perfectly balances horror and comedy at the same time. And Ghostbusters 2016 opens with a guy telling tourists a scary story. You know, looking at this crowd, I see a bunch of people that don't care and this one guy who cares too much. So by the end of the tour, the guy is about to leave and suddenly, the door that has always been locked. Now as soon as that happens, I would immediately leave, but this is the first guy in the film, so we gotta make him look stupid somehow in order to set up the tone for the rest of the film, and like an idiot, he goes into the room that has always been locked. Now, as always, I'm an honest guy, and this opening scene is okay. But the concept is better than the execution. I mean, it's nothing new and has been done before, but for a scene to something Ghostbusters related, this is actually a pretty creative way to open the movie. That being said, it could have been so much better. I mean, if James Wan came in and directed this scene, it would have been massively improved. As is, it has a very cheap quality to it. Also, it immediately brings us many plot holes. First off, if the ghost is locked inside, then how the hell can it teleport itself all the way to the other door, burn the handle, throw him against the wall, levitate objects and throw them around, and then open a door that has been locked? I mean, ghosts from the Ghostbusters franchise can't do this. It would be okay if this was a new thing and the rest of the movie followed up with it, but it doesn't. The ghost only does all of this stuff in this one scene, and I'll tell you what vibe I got from this. It felt like Paul Feig tried to copy the horror elements from The Conjuring, only here it makes no sense in context with the movie, and as well as being nowhere near as effective, it just makes me want to switch this off and go watch The Conjuring. Now Kristen Wiig lets slip that an old guy she spoke to said that there was a ghost at his mansion, and just like that, they say they want to go see it. Okay, now listen to this. Once they get there, there is a joke that could have had the potential to be funny.
Hi, we're looking for Ed Mulgrave. He came to see me this morning.
Ed Mulgrave?
Yes.
But Ed Mulgrave died 15 years ago.
Yes. That's awesome. Dead for 15 years. Ed's a ghost. Ah, knew it.
I just saw him today. Oh, so who is this?
Well, that's Ed's son, Ed Jr.
Okay, that's obviously who I meant.
Hi, Junior, if I may,
Okay, now this joke was a good one. It could have been legitimately funny, but once the punchline has been delivered,
Well, that's Ed's son, Ed Jr.
nothing. There was not a single feeling in my chest that gave me the urge to laugh. The delivery was just so flat and completely exempt of humor. That is basically the same with all the jokes throughout this movie. It did not trigger a single funny bone in my body.
all right, well, how about you take us across the street? I gotta get in there, set up. Let's go on a tour.
You're gonna die in there.
Alright, two things. One, what an asshole. This is the guy from the beginning of the movie. He's finally got help from the only people who will take him seriously, and when they ask to go in, what does he do?
Let's go on a tour.
And two, this line.
You're gonna die in there.
Bullshit. If the ghost had you hanging on one arm, begging for dear life, with acid on the ground below you, it would have had no better opportunity to kill someone than it did right there. So if it didn't kill you then, what makes you think it will kill them now?
You're gonna die in there.
Anyway, they go in the mansion and walk down the hall, mimicking the library scene from the original movie, only this time with blatant product placement at the ready. Seriously, it's like in literally every shot they have Mr. Pringles perfectly centered towards the camera, as well as a Sony 4K camcorder. So we are all familiar with this scene as it was spoiled in the trailer. The only other thing I will add is that here we see the crazy one eating some Pringles, and she sees a ghost for the first time, and she's not startled by what she's seeing. The ghost comes closer, she is still not shocked by what she sees. The ghost comes even closer, right in front of them, she's not fazed one bit. The ghost vomits on her friend, she is completely calm and does not care. And then all of a sudden, you see the Pringles are on the floor and her face is telling a whole different story than it was in the rest of the scene. That is one of the many examples of the terrible editing in this movie. She's supposed to drop the Pringles when she first sees the ghost, not stay calm like she's watching the Weather Channel and then drop them one whole minute later. No, really. She sees the ghost for one whole minute and then at the end she acts all shocked. Contrast that with how all of the guys were shocked when they saw the ghost in the first movie and then all ran away after the ghost scared them. So now that they have all seen a ghost, they want to ask the institution they work in for more money. And here is another example of a joke that is so lame.
And if you guys want to study ghosts, do it somewhere else because I have 2 words for you.
Let me guess, get out? No, he's gonna say suck it. He's not gonna say suck it.
Suck it.
You were right.
That is so freaking pathetic. I mean seriously, no thought or passion went into setting up, staging, delivering, or even shooting that joke. All the jokes in this movie are quantity over quality. And speaking of which, we have our next joke which proves another point of this movie.
I think it might be a ghost. Oh no, it's not, it's just a bird. Bye, there's the door. Later days. Can you hear this? Let me turn it up.
Oh my God. This is incredibly immature behavior.
And she should know, because these three have been the bloody definition of mature behavior, haven't they? This just shows that the writers of this movie don't know how to write smart characters, so instead, they wrote 3 dumb characters that only their mind can comprehend, and in order to make them look smart, they made all the other characters surrounding them even dumber just to raise their status. So we return to the group who are looking for an apartment to live in as a base of operations for their ghost busting. They are taken inside to look at one, and they react appropriately.
Look at how high it is! Look at the ceiling, Jorge!
The hell they do.
Oh, look at this. Look at it.
Yeah, what was it that McCarthy said?
Oh my God. This is incredibly immature behavior.
Look at these 2 nut jobs.
Stripper pole.
And that is followed by Kristen Wiig's overreaction to the price of this place.
The rent is $21,000 a month. Burn in hell. Oh my God.
Yeah, but do you know what the funny thing is? And I mean that as a figure of speech. Look at what Paul Feig actually wanted her to say in the extended version.
The rent is $21,000 a month. Fuck you. Excuse me.
Yeah, perfect role model for all the little girls out there. And this scene pales in comparison to the equivalent scene in the original. And there are so much more absurd stuff that I will be talking about in other segments of this comparison. But my point is that the tone of this movie is incredibly inconsistent and half-arsed. In fact, the only thing consistent about it is how inconsistent it is. It's not funny, it fails at being scary, and the overall setup and narrative structure of the movie is very poorly put together. As is the continuity. The narrative structure in the original, however, is so much better. When it tries to be scary, it succeeds, and it perfectly manages to balance its comedic tone with elements of dark comedy and horror. Seriously, I cannot stress enough how impressed I was with the comedic tones of this film. The characters talk in a very calm and natural manner, whilst also cracking jokes with their gestures and facial expressions. The new Ghostbusters attempted to do that, and this is what they did with it.
It's not.
Oh, we're dancing. Fire! Oh, fire. Burn in hell.
I especially loved how Bill Murray's character is the only one out of the whole group who always acts like he's bored by everything. The comedy in the original is so unique I can't compare it with any other movie. Now there are 3 forms of vocal comedy. There is subtle, natural, and then there's just loud, mindless yelling. The new Ghostbusters takes the 100% cliche route and decides to yell everything, which results in a movie which is loud and obnoxious. The only times the original Ghostbusters talk loud is when they are shouting in anger or when they are in a loud environment and they need to be heard. Apart from that, at most they just raise their voice. And the comedy throughout the movie had me and my brother laughing our butts off. And the darker scenes were hauntingly dark too, and they left an impression on you. So the movie with the far superior story and tone is the original Ghostbusters. Now we all know the characters in the original Ghostbusters: Dr. Raymond Stantz, Dr. Egon Spengler, Winston Zeddemore, Peter Venkman, and these guys have great chemistry with each other and they play off of each other so well, and that's mainly because they were friends in real life, and their background in SNL added to the terrific chemistry that they already had, and they are wonderfully and organically introduced to us one after the other. And then we have the 2016 Ghostbusters, which, like all remakes, takes what organically worked with the original movie and then inorganically copies it. So we are introduced to our first Ghostbuster, played by Kristen Wiig. She is a scientist and she's getting prepared for a— what the fuck?
Big holla.
So the first joke of the movie is a woman bending over and shaking her butt whilst a guy is walking front first towards it. I mean, you couldn't get any more pervertedly suggestive if you tried. The little girls this movie is being geared towards are going to learn so much from this. Anyway, this guy is asking her to come check out his mansion that we saw at the beginning of the movie because he believes it is haunted. And he is coming to Kristen Wiig, I mean Erin, because he has a book that she wrote, which, oddly enough, she doesn't seem to recall selling.
It's on Amazon.
What?
It's on books on tape, too. Only I know how to read.
I'm pretty sure that makes you the only guy who knows how to read in this movie, so she looks it up on her computer and sees that it actually is for sale. Then the professor shows up to talk to her and she tries to hide the screen from him. Wait, what? I mean, I get why she would want to hide it from him, but why is she trying to hide the monitor? Just close the page with your mouse.
Their science department is really not what it used to be.
He's not looking, close the page with your mouse. Or turn your monitor off.
College.
What the hell are you doing? In fact, if you're willing to make things this obvious, then why don't you just close the page with your mouse?
To see you throw it.
So he leaves and she restores the position of her monitor that she never had to move in the first place. Man, what a dumbass. And then she does what she should have done when the professor was here, which is that in no less than a second, she clicks on a link which removes her face. You know, we are only 8 minutes into this movie, and in her second scene, she has already shown me that she is an ill-educated moron, and that the movie is not funny. Also, you guys probably didn't notice the other problem that was going on with that scene, but it is yet another example of how the editing in this movie is atrocious. Just look at her right arm as she talks to the professor. Okay, hand is on the back of her head, now it's gone, now it's back, and now it's gone, on her neck. And now she put her hand down on her desk and magically, the continuity goes back to normal. Seriously, this is basic continuity that even I keep an eye out for when I do my short movie edits. So Abby goes to see our next Ghostbuster, Melissa McCarthy, and she plays Melissa McCarthy, like she does in every other movie.
Erin?
Abby?
Benny.
Okay, obviously that didn't happen, but it leads me to my next point. You will realize the jokes in this movie are not only bad, but they are incredibly dated. Shrek 2 did this joke just about as good as anyone ever will, and that was 12 years old at the time.
Probably the future you're looking at.
Did you just see that? Look at Benny here. Seriously, we are not even 10 minutes in and already there is another blatant editing problem. On a side note, Benny is played by Dopender from Deadpool and he is the funniest character in this movie.
You know what? That book was our baby, and you abandoned that baby before it even learned to fly.
Books can't fly, and neither can babies, so.
You don't know? I'll tell you what, if I had a flying baby, I'd zip this, and so would you.
I don't believe it. This must be a record. Melissa McCarthy hasn't even been on screen for a minute and already I can't stand her. But despite how annoying McCarthy is, believe it or not, there is actually someone far worse. And you might already know who I'm talking about. Kate McKinnon plays Holtzman and she is the most cartoony, cringeworthy, unfunny, and downright annoying character of the bunch. I don't know what they were thinking when they came up with this character, but she is just so annoying that you scrunch your face in confusion and disgust every time she is on screen. There are countless scenes where she tries to be funny, but she just ends up making a complete fool of herself, and somehow it makes you feel like a fool for even watching her. Now that's not to say that these women aren't funny, they're just not funny in this movie, and it doesn't help that the first line she says makes absolutely no sense.
Come here often?
Oh yeah, she does come here often, they just didn't tell you. I mean seriously, what a dumb question. If she came here often, then you would have seen her more often, you dumbass. Also, before your little question, Kristen Wiig said,
Has been a while, hasn't it?
so did you even have to ask such a dumb question in the first place? And I want to know, what was she smoking down there before she started this stupid dance? And then finally, we have Patty, and she's just loud. Now Leslie Jones is very loud in real life, and in this movie, she is exactly the same as she was when she tweeted her live reactions of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Loud, not paying attention to what's going on, and makes a lot of noise.
This ain't the Wizard of Oz in this motherfucker.
flying metal monkeys then flew out this shit. And this motherfucker steps out. I don't think shit penetrating his motherfucking armor. Oh, I'm scared. This is a Mercedes? Cause if you let your doors out and hit my car, now I'm fighting you in the parking lot, motherfucker. Finally, we've been training for this shit for eons, and you bitches show up late like the police. No, don't try to headbutt him back, okay? Don't try. He done. Ow! Ow! He headbutted you into the sidewalk. Run, motherfucker! Run!
And that's exactly how she is in this movie. And I spent the entire film really wishing that she would just keep her voice down.
Oh, hell no, the devil is a liar! Get out of my friend, Ghost! The power of pain compels you! Ow!
And it's not helped by the fact that all the male characters in this movie are dumb as shit. And that leads us to our next poor sod who was unfortunately subjected to this movie. Kevin, played by Chris Hemsworth. Now, Chris Hemsworth in this movie, well...
I did the,
Just real quick, can I ask why no glass?
Oh, yeah, they just kept getting dirty, so I took them out.
Thank you. Just go right over there. Don't listen.
I won't. God, that's loud, huh?
Yeah, do I really have to say anything? He is so dumb that not only do you question how he was able to get here, but you eventually start to question how he's been able to stay alive. Now admittedly, Chris Hemsworth did make me twitch a smile in about 2 small moments of the movie, but really he is just so insultingly dumb. In fact, it seems like Paul Feig did not like the idea that Hemsworth was getting so much positive attention as Thor that he wanted to dumb him down. You know, before Marvel did it. There was no clever writing or strategic planning involved with his character, not to mention that Kristen Wiig acts completely horny around him, and it's actually quite disgusting in some circumstances. Watch.
Oh, did you hurt your face?
I hate coffee.
I'll take it. Waste.
Yes. Hold my hand longer. Okay.
I love the hair, by the way. Makes you look a lot older.
So yeah, she is the horny Ghostbuster. So going back to Kevin, much like every other male character in this movie, he is just here to make these 3 kooks look less stupid. I'm sorry, these 4 kooks less stupid. I mean, the equivalent character in the original was Janine, and they never treated her like a brain-dead idiot. If anything, I always thought she was more grounded and down to earth compared to the rest of them, but they didn't think to make Hemsworth that way.
There's a goat on the loose.
So he can't even pronounce the word ghost, even though he clearly said it about 5 seconds ago.
Ghostbusters.
If I made a movie where all the female characters were this stupid and dumb, would I be let off the hook, or would there be news articles written about how sexist I am and how offensive this is? In this current hypocritical climate we're in, if they make men this stupid it's fine, but if you apply the same degrading comedy onto female characters, only then does it become sexist. The original movie doesn't treat any of the characters as over-exaggerated cartoons. It treats them like actual respected characters, and there is a clear logic and motivation behind their actions, and it doesn't single the females out as mindless idiots, but in the remake, the guys are just stupid, irresponsible, rude, and thick. If women were written like this in movies, then Paul Feig would get outraged over it. But because it's men, he has no problem with it and thinks everyone should just accept it. Well, I'm not, and no one else has either. The original movie never pulled some degrading shit like this, and that's why the movie with the far, far, far superior characters is the original Ghostbusters. Now, whilst we are being introduced to Patty, suddenly some random guy starts talking to her.
Oh, hey! How you doing, man?
When the 4th cataclysm begins, laborers, such as yourself, will be among the last led to the butchery. So, make the most of your extra time.
I know what you're thinking. What a weirdo, and what a strange scene. Well, what if I told you that this guy is the villain? I'm not kidding, and what you just saw was him being set up. Now, his evil agenda in this movie is to encapsulate a bunch of ghosts and to release them all over the city. How he knows how to do this when apparently the ghosts have just now started to reveal themselves, I don't know. The movie doesn't bother to explain. It does, however, give you an amazing 5-second explanation as to why he wants to do this. For all you aspiring writers out there, watch and be amazed.
You have been bullied your entire life. Now you will be the bully.
And that's it. I hope you're taking notes here, because apparently Sony Pictures is willing to pay you shit tons of money for crap writing like this. The writers of this movie were actually serious when they wrote this dialogue and this supposed bad guy. And they didn't establish him as a smart scientist or anything. Oh no. That would be giving males way too much credit in this female empowerment movie. Instead, they just make him a mental retarded weirdo.
You have been bullied your entire life. Now you will be the bully.
I mean, seriously, just like millions of other people on this earth, you got bullied. Is that really a reason to destroy a whole city? I mean the whole world. I'm sorry, I mean the universe, as you so poetically put it.
Trust in your abilities, and the universe shall bend for your will.
Now, this story element is not bad. If anything, it is very similar to the villain's motivation in the original movie, but the way this information is being presented to you in the remake is just utter nonsense. And after all the crap we have seen throughout the last 25 minutes prior, that really is saying something. As for other villains, the evil Marshmallow Man is now the Ghostbusters logo, and what do they do to stop it? How about we just shoot it in the invisible ball sack and it will go down like a ton of bricks? And as far as the ghost busting goes, when the characters catch their first ghost, in the original movie they catch their first ghost and there is a very subtle and atmospheric building of tension and atmosphere to the whole hunt. And when they do capture it, they do it in a contained room, and then they come out and celebrate and collect their payment.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass!
In the 2016 movie, they catch their first ghost, the crowd cheers, and what the hell is she doing now? You know, the movie wants us to laugh, but after seeing that, I just feel sorry for the guy whose super expensive guitar she broke.
Sorry, can't buy you another one.
I can't remember. Are we supposed to like her? Because my hatred for her has just escalated to unmeasurable levels. And by the way, Erin stupidly releases this very same ghost about 5 minutes later, and in doing so, kills a Bill Murray cameo. And she suffers no ramifications for the man she just murdered, who only really was just a skeptic at the end of the day, like all of us would be.
How's that for my timing? I come, you've caught a ghost, I can't see it.
Kill him!
He wasn't really Ghostbusters material. Fuck you.
The villains also have possession scenes in both movies. In the original Ghostbusters, the Zool dog possesses Dana in a genuinely frightening scene which was built up throughout the entire movie.
Look at all the junk food.
And in the 2016 movie, the possession happens like this.
Hello, Abby.
Lame, 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 lame!
And Bill Murray in this scene perfectly deflects this very weird scene with some very dry humor.
Are we still going out?
And whereas Vinkman very quickly realizes that something is off with Dana, Holtzman gets several chances to realize that something is not right with her own friend, and she doesn't even realize.
What are you doing? Not my baby!
Oh, so it isn't funny when your property is being destroyed, isn't it?
Funny, man. Yo, for real. See, Abby, I told you to have that sandwich, man. Low blood sugar is serious.
Oh my god, are you freaking kidding me? Come on, Paul Feig, now is not the time for a joke. The humor in these movies nowadays. The original movie also has ghosts that actually look intimidating and otherworldly. The 2016 version, however, goes for these overly bright and cartoony neon ghosts, when really it should have gone with something like Shazam did with its demons, where they had a serious grit and fierce presence to them. And they did some seriously messed up stuff for a PG-13, and this unknowingly did a far more faithful representation of the ghosts in Ghostbusters than anything from the 2016 movie. Bottom line, the villains and even their set pieces may appear more flashy in the 2016 Ghostbusters, but they lack any sense of tension. And it really doesn't help that the main villain is a lame, petty bully with a grudge who gets some ghost powers, whereas in the original movie, it's a demonic entity with demonic monsters that possess people in horrific ways. And the tension is always present and makes the movie feel really dark towards the end, while simultaneously maintaining a certain subtle level of humor that doesn't degrade the tension that is going on. So the movie with the superior villains is the original Ghostbusters. When you get down to it, the 2016 Ghostbusters, like most other remakes, is a movie that should never have been made in the first place. And they use the fake female empowerment card as justification for not only making a remake, which almost never do well, but for also making such a terrible movie out of a license that is capable of so much more. And we are seeing what this franchise is truly capable of right now with Ghostbusters Afterlife, which also stars a female lead and looks to be a much better movie. But my question is, why couldn't we get something like this before? Why did we have to go through this piece of shit and all the finger pointing and accusing that came with it? Whatever the reason, one thing's for certain. This movie started the terrible trend of fake female empowerment films, all of which are gonna go down in history as the big messes they are, and how they tried to aggressively justify their lackluster writing and terrible storytelling just because they had a woman in the leading role. That is the truly sexist act, and it goes against everything they were preaching in the first place. And to force the original actors to a staged interview on Jimmy Kimmel to help sell and endorse your dirty tactics was downright disgusting. It's clear that they don't want to be there, especially Bill Murray here, and they had to fake a smile the whole time. And it's incredibly rich that a movie studio that has been a part of some truly shady behavior in the past accuses the public of being sexist and bigots for not watching their film when they have actually committed truly sexist acts in the past, a lot of which has been leaked during the Sony hack. And these people think they can accuse us of being sexist. Give me a break. Bottom line, and this goes for all female gender swapping franchises, but if these female characters have to step on the shoulders of an already popular male franchise to be successful, then it shows that these female characters are not strong in their own unless they get 100% of the help from a man and then take over his franchise. Where is the empowerment in that? It just shows that they can't create a franchise of their own unless it is fully set up and made iconic for them by men. Again, that goes directly against the female empowerment that they are trying to preach. If you're an aspiring filmmaker out there, take example from female characters like these and not these. The original Ghostbusters is a classic. It has all the ingredients of a film that should not work, but somehow it does. It's lightning in a bottle and it cannot be replicated. The storyline is absurd but fits the dark and comedic tone. The special effects, which haven't aged very well in many scenes, still showcase a lot of creativity for the time, and in the end, you have characters that are very memorable as well as a world that left people wanting to see more. And with Ghostbusters Afterlife, it looks like we are finally going to get that, and we could get more in the future if the movie does well. So I highly recommend that you watch it so we can get more good Ghostbusters in the future, and that we can continue to bury this piece of shit in the ever-growing landfill of woke movies. It's time for the scores. The original Ghostbusters gets a 9 out of 10, and Ghostbusters 2016 gets a 1. For those of you that are wondering why the original Ghostbusters didn't get a 10 out of 10 from me, I can't explain it. Some movies, when you finish watching them, you immediately feel like giving them a 10, but for me, this movie was an 8.5 when I watched it, but upon reflection, I ended up liking it even more, and that boosted it to a 9. From a technical standpoint, Ghostbusters 2016 is a mess, and the comedy that was written and improvised was absolutely terrible. And I didn't even talk about some of the terrible ADR, but this is the worst of it.
Oh, not you guys again!
And to end this video, I would like to read a quote from Chris Columbus, the director. When asked how he felt about his Home Alone film getting a remake, he had this to say: "What's the point? I'm a firm believer that you don't remake films that have had the longevity of Home Alone. You're not going to create lightning in a bottle again. It's just not going to happen. So why do it? It's like doing a paint-by-numbers version of a Disney animated film. What's the point? It's been done. Do your own thing. Even if you fail miserably, at least you have come up with something original." Thanks so much as always for watching, guys. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, as it really does help in getting my channel noticed. And be sure to follow me on Instagram, where I'm starting to put up a lot more of my thoughts on movies and TV shows that I am currently watching. And if you donate just $1 a month on Patreon, not only will you be supporting the channel, but you will gain access to all of my latest trailer reactions, as well as access to upcoming podcasts that I will be making, such as my current thoughts on theaters and streaming, which I will do sometime soon. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I will see all of you next time. Take care.